It is good to be back with you. It's a Ladbrokes Social Club Monday. It's a delayed response. We're back in the studio. I'm back in the hot seat.
Yes,
Did you miss me?
Great to have you back.
Good. All the usual stuff, reviews, previews. We're going to give you tips for your coupon. I know you're all ready for that, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Good fantasy football as well. I'm particularly looking forward to fantasy football again this week.
Here we go.
I missed you last week.
Self-praise. Self-praise.
Alan Stubbs is in the house. Good to see you, mate.
Good afternoon.
And I have to start by saying belated happy birthday to you.
Okay, thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
Another year closer to 50.
Another year, yeah. I actually thought I was 49.
I'm sorry.
I found out I was 48 yesterday. I thought I was 49.
You stopped counting,
Hold on a second.
Oh, here we go. Oh, look at this.
Oh,
so, Gillian's in with the
thank
football
you.
cake. Brilliant. And by the way, I have to say, it's a sharing cake. Alex Rae is also here with us.
I can't believe he's younger than me.
I can't believe they forgot your
I was 50
your
a couple
birthday
of weeks ago. Yeah,
last week.
50 last Monday, yeah.
That is great. And you never said a word on the show.
No, I was just waiting for my NHS sample kit to come through the
I was going to
post.
say bus pass there.
That's next.
No,
Anyway, belated happy birthday
thank
to you
you.
as well. Did you have a good day other than the show?
I
I know you were
lovely
working.
day, yes, absolutely. It was great to spend it with the Ladbrokes Social Club crew. Danny, especially you, son.
Yeah. At least you said some nice things about me last week. I noted that.
Darrell, I missed you, mate. It wasn't the same without you. It's good to have you back.
Go. You had your wee Top Gun moment as well at the start of the show. What a jacket that was.
Oh, sensational, wasn't it?
Incredible. Huh?
Jacket's in the bin.
I've actually just made him take off his Adidas top as well there. What a fashion.
I guess that's not even a lie, that's true.
I thought the gear was getting better, but actually no. No, there you go. Anyway, we noticed something about you the last few weeks. We've been watching the show carefully, and we noticed you've been struggling a wee bit with the reading. You don't know anything about this, do you? But this has come to our attention. Just take a look at this. Yep. Now, are your eyes okay? Because we've also got these for the weekend.
Give it him. Brilliant.
Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks.
Oh, why? It's a lot better.
Wow.
He's an
You don't need that
iPad.
laser.
These are 3D.
Right, and I didn't know they were going to do it. And I was saying to Anne before, and the heartbeat of the social club, I was like, my eyes are actually alright. So
Well.
this is good, isn't it?
Listen, I'm going to take them off right now, but I think maybe the bigger tweets might help you out, mate, rather than the big glasses.
Aye.
Anyway, let's crack on.
Thanks for that.
You've enjoyed your weekend as well, haven't you? I know you met one of your old friends at
Yeah,
Ibrox.
I did do, yeah. It was great to see Paul Gascoigne yesterday. He was in fine form and had a good chat with him, and it's great to catch up with him. I think it's for some of the viewers when you actually put in context how good a footballer he was. It was absolutely sensational. He was probably one of the star players in world football at one point, and it's just good to see him.
He got a great reception as well.
Yeah, it was a remarkable. Normally, you tend to see a lot of people going down to the concourse and obviously get their pies and teas and so forth. Just an unbelievable. He goes out to the middle of the pitch and he did his little kind
There we
of
go.
lap of honour. It was absolutely brilliant, and he was brilliant, and I'm so pleased to see him in a good place.
Absolutely right. You played
you know
against him.
what? I had the pleasure of sharing a dressing room with him at Everton, and he's a brilliant person. He's got a heart of gold. It's great to see him in a good place, because obviously he's had his troubles, but an incredible footballer.
I have to say, I think he's actually got Dan's jacket on there.
Yeah, well, that's where it went.
Listen, this will be my last show, I think.
Well,
We've actually put out questions on social media, Darrell, on Instagram, and a fair few about Gaza for both you guys. Where, this is John_RFC on Instagram, where would you rank for both you guys in terms of played with and against?
On you go, mate.
Well, I've done both. Obviously played against him for Celtic and with him for Everton, and for me, he's probably I think he's the most talented midfield player that England's have produced.
Wow.
Obviously Steven Gerrard is a brilliant player, but I think Gaza was just different. He had that X factor, Gaza, and in the dressing room he was brilliant and all.
I bet you've got some stories.
Oh, I remember one when David Ginola come to Everton, and it was a bit of a strange sign at the time, because probably David Ginola and Everton where we were probably wasn't the signing that we were looking for, and he's come in and Gaza has obviously known him, and next minute we've all gone out to training, and David's come in, and obviously he's $1 million. David is he's a good looking guy, and he's at the back of the group jogging, and the next minute we're going, where's Gaza? And we knew he was up to something. And within 2 minutes, Gaza comes running out, and he's running out of that. He's got this big long wig on, running out, and he goes, David, David! And that runs up and he's giving him a big hug, and he was not happy.
Was he not?
Like, he wasn't happy, whatsoever.
Don't mock
And
the
we just
Frenchman.
thought, I don't know how he's going to take the jokes here, but he's brilliant. As talented off the pitch as what he was on the pitch.
Yeah, a good guy. And obviously a good day at Ibrox yesterday for many reasons. I'll come back to the match itself, but made better by the fact that Celtic had lost earlier in the day, which was a big surprise. You've got loads of social media reaction to this. Great victory from Livingston's point of view, though, Al.
It was a surprise, and to be honest, it was a bit of a shock going into the game. But looking at the game, I don't think you could really just say anything about Livingston. Were really good. It was as if Celtic turned up and did not play against the Livingston side before.
Yeah. Shock, of course, because they'd just done so well in the Europa League. There was only one change to the team, but the defence on social media getting a bit of criticism, Daniel?
I think Julian and Ayer in particular are coming under a bit of flack. Christopher Murphy on Twitter, as bad as 17 performances I can remember. PS07, Julian and I are both shocking today. Andrew, Angus, Julian, understandably frustrated, but looked ready to kill at the end. He did look like, we'll talk about Lyndon Dykes obviously, did look like he kind of really got under the skin a wee bit yesterday.
See, having seen Livingston play against Rangers a couple of weeks ago, I was watching the game, I was frustrated about the way both centre-halves went about their business against Dykes, but you have to give him credit because he's right up for the physical side of things, and it didn't really surprise me, because of the surface, the way they go about their business. They're very efficient, they're very hard working. And it's a remarkable result. I think it's the first time that they've actually managed to beat Celtic ever. So, very impressive.
Didn't look happy in the touchline in the dugout either, did they? Celtic players at the end. I know you've got a photo for us.
Absolutely. I mean, the whole thing. I mean, we've got obviously Ryan Christie's tackle as well coming in. It was just a bad day for Celtic. Just a really frustrated day. I think Christie's tackle kind of summed up the frustration.
Yeah.
I have to say it's as bad a tackle as you're going to see, Darrell. He's actually very fortunate that he actually doesn't break his leg there, because normally when you're going towards someone like that, you realise that he's going to go through you. You try and kind of pull out the tackle, but the Livingston players went straight through it, and I think his legs recoiled, and you can clearly see the displeasure of Scott Brown and Neil Lennon.
And there's the aforementioned picture, Scott Brown and Neil Lennon looking like two brothers who both tried to shotgun the front seat, fighting over it, and now getting a McDonald's on the way home as punishment.
Of course, look, the tackle made it more difficult for them on the day as well. What's really poor is, I don't know if you know this, but Ryan Christie's come off social media, come off Twitter, as a result of some of the abuse he's taken, which is, for such a nice guy, first of all, who's done so well for his team this season and for his country.
I think
awful, isn't it?
It seems to be a trend that is coming into football even more and more now, whether it's players getting abused, whether it's of any racism nature, and you're seeing it before it, and we've seen in the past that the fans say that we don't have enough connection with the players, and then when the players go on it, they want to give that side of it back. But then obviously this is just not acceptable when you see players getting abused, because listen, Ryan Christie's not a malicious player, it's a rush of blood. It's not like him whatsoever, but it doesn't condone the criticism he's getting.
Just as you say, Darry's come off Twitter, but we should say on social media, on Instagram, people have been commenting on his recent pictures. Duncan, chin up, the real fans are behind you. Danielle, we love you, Ryan. I think there's obviously Celtic fans that admit he did kind of let them down a wee bit.
Yeah.
But they're all still behind him. 11 goals in all competitions. Arguably Celtic's best player this season.
It drives me mad.
That's the point.
I've
the
been
real
saying,
fans are still behind him. That's pretty clear.
One moment doesn't judge a player, though.
No.
Yeah.
You know the performance he's done over the last few months. He's come on leaps and bounds, and he's had a miscalculation of a challenge.
It's a noisy minority, unfortunately, and they have the loudest voice. And part of the problem you have is that these guys are not accountable for this.
Yeah.
So they go out there and abuse people with all these kind of dodgy names. But for me, I think people, Twitter, Instagram, I think they should be accountable for this. It should not be allowed, and it's sad that the boys had to come off this.
Good tweet from Tony Watt, wasn't it?
Absolutely, ex-Celtic player Tony Watt. He sums it up really well, I think, by saying Ryan Christie's been Celtic's best player for a while. If you're giving him abuse for yesterday, have a word with yourself. I think that sums it up.
Mentions Andy Robertson as well, who came off last month off Twitter. Back on it now, thankfully, as well. Kind of started again, so maybe Ryan Christie as well will come back when it's all settled down. Look, we've already seen his tackle. The referee, Willie Collum, was trending across the UK on Twitter yesterday because there was a
We were there.
Yeah,
You know what's going on.
It was actually Collum rather than Willie that was trending. Just thought we should make that clear, because
Apologies, Mr.
wee Willie trending in Twitter's another thing altogether, Alex. But, hey, there you go. I don't know what you're looking at.
Listen, You're not typing in Wee Willie there. I just seen your iPad before the show.
No, that wasn't me that typed in Wee Willie, that was someone else.
Got a column.
Anyway, the reason he was trending, of course, if you see the back pages of the papers today, Celtic players not happy with the fact that Keegan Jacobs didn't see red later on in the match as well for a tackle, which we're about to see here. Alan, your thoughts on this?
I think once you leave the ground and you go in with your feet like that, you know, I think, listen, as he caught, is it malicious? Maybe not, but I think the way he's gone in, he leaves himself vulnerable to a red card, and I wouldn't have been surprised if he would have been given a red. But
it wouldn't have changed the game,
no,
but they want
solve,
consistency, players clearly,
no.
And they feel they're not getting it, and that's the
one
frustration.
wrong doesn't make it right,
No.
you know, and one right doesn't make it wrong.
If you take the two instances, Ryan Christie's is clearly high. It's up about the shin area. For me, that's gone down the way. So it's not as malicious, if you like.
But you can't leave the ground.
You can't, but the thing is...
You're saying that's not a red?
No, I think that's a yellow. I can see if someone would actually want because you're leaving the ground. But with Curtis Main, I know we're diversing a bit. He's went off the ground as well. It's a red card. But when you see it from another angle, it is clearly not.
It will come back
Celtic
to the
fans all
consistency.
over the nation have just fallen right off the chair there. That Alex
But
thinks
it
that's
comes
yellow.
back to the consistency with the referees, you know, in terms of challenges, you know. And if you're going to be consistent, that is a red card then.
You disagree in that? Let's get back to Livingston. You've already mentioned Lyndon Dykes. There's been talk of a potential call-up for Scotland, although I think he made it clear
Did you see this?
that if there's an option, he'll be playing for Australia.
Well,
What a performance, though.
that'll endear him to the Tartan Army, saying that he wants to play for Australia first and foremost. But listen, he's obviously been asked a question yesterday. For me, Scotland are really, really struggling in that area. If they could call him up, why not just call him up now?
Well, they can try.
Yeah, because the thing is, it gives them an option now. It gives them a physical presence, and that's one of the things that they actually need. They need somebody to kind of get the ball, retain it, and give them a breather at international level.
Liked a few of these, didn't you, Daniel?
Stephen Carey's my personal highlight. Lyndon Dykes is welcome at a house for free as any day of the week. And obviously Michael Lionel Messi has Lyndon Dykes posters on his bedroom wall. A big reaction on Instagram as well. People asking you as well, Darrell, something, so throw it in there.
Question for me, shocker.
Sam Jefferson, would you have him in the squad for the Russian San Marino games?
I would. Why not? Why not? You look at the personnel we have. We've got Johnny Russell.
Is he going to play?
Possibly. Because you don't know what happens if you get an injury leading up to that. Then, you know, you could always throw him in, see how he does within the squad. Because one thing you know
He's
is...
certainly one of the informed strikers in the country right now, so I can understand
Let's put
why
it
he's
this way.
going, but you'd want him to
I think
some...
Australia will be looking at us and going, we need to get this guy capped
Well, they
sooner
will.
rather than later.
Well, he's a different option for
Absolutely.
Scotland.
It's a
You know, you
different
look at
personnel.
Shanklands and all the other players that are in the squad up there. He's a different option.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think if you're Steve Clarke, even if he came to training and trained with him for that period and had a little look with him, see how he fits into that environment. Not necessarily.
I'm
part of the
persuaded.
squad.
The answer's call him up, get him in there. That's me done. I think the Livy boys had a party as well last night. They didn't miss their opportunity. Straight out. This is Nicky Devlin. What a game he had, by the way, at right back.
Yes,
And a little. This is maybe aimed at some of the people on social media who are criticising the style. He's saying Hammer Throwers FC. And they were out having a good
Must be a
drink.
private party. It doesn't seem as if there's anyone else in the public.
Most of them are Livy players, to be fair.
No,
it was a
listen,
Sunday night in
I
Livingston.
have to say though, fair play to them because the way they've gone about their business. Because for some people, they were relegation targets because of the personnel they'd lost in the summer. So, you know, the recruitment's been great.
On to Rangers then. I promised you it would come. I mean, you loved the performance, particularly of Jermaine Defoe. Look at that smile on your
Well, do you know the
face.
thing is, it's just because D-Mac's been giving, he's been throwing Celtic tops last week. You did see that, yeah. So it's important to...
You're not throwing anything back.
Yeah, no, not at all. I should brought a Rangers top and threw it at him to do.
But Jermaine Defoe, of course, getting the headlines after his hat-trick, and you tweeted about him.
Yeah, absolutely. He continues to impress. I think the key thing for me is his appetite for the game. What is he, 36, 37 now?
37 today, I believe, speaking of birthdays.
Yeah, but listen, what an unbelievable pass that was from the boy Stewart. He comes back into the team, having done so well against Aberdeen last week. But you look at the turn there, Alex, brilliant. And then this is his intelligence because he drives that through his legs. There is actually no deflection on this. And then again, strikers go and follow up. Do you think there was a deflection?
My lad told me come off his car.
Is that right? Well,
yeah, but do you know,
if anyone knows,
insider knowledge.
but you know the great thing about it when you're trying to open up the angle and then you know if you put it towards through his legs, the keeper's going to be unsighted. I just thought his overall play was absolutely brilliant, and I have to say it was a really poor choice by Steven Gerrard because I didn't have him in my team of the week. I had Morelos. Otherwise, I'd have been cruising.
your fantasy team,
Yeah.
that's a disaster.
I know. But listen, his overall play, his movement, his appetite for the game's brilliant, and you know, they're talking about a new contract for him as well, so it shows you what they think. 12 goals in 14, Daniel?
I think so. I think it's
Sounds like he wants to stay.
9 Premiership goals in 7 games this season, which is...
Hey, it's a stat a minute over there at the moment. I love it.
I think you have to realise and all about his quality. You know, he's done it for years in the Premiership. You know, you get him in the box, Jermaine Defoe comes alive. You know,
I've
he's so
got a
good.
question for you.
Around, go on.
In terms of the top 10, where does he fit in the all-time Premier League goal scorers?
Oh, it's a tough
I
one,
seen
eh?
it the other day.
Put him on the spot there, eh?
I don't think he's in the top 10.
8th.
Is he?
Oh, you talking about the actual goals? I think he thought you.
Yeah,
terms of
where
rating
I
him.
would. Okay.
No, in terms of, sorry, I've just told
You
you.
just
anyway.
bombed him out.
I have,
Yeah.
No, I have, because there is, you know, you look
Top
at
players,
it,
yeah.
you know, even that you're talking about him, you're talking about the likes of Henry, Shearer,
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Andy Cole, Dwight York. You talk of all these, and he's in the same breath.
Yeah.
That tells you how good he's been.
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
3 for Defoe, 1 for Barisic as well, who's getting the social media love. Another free kick.
An absolute screamer. And obviously it's a guy that we've talked about a bit in the social club before. He's had a bit of stick in the past, but
Yeah.
he's really come onto a game
I
now.
think it was a goal against St Mirren that's gave him the confidence. You know what I mean, Anne?
There you go.
And the producer.
Big St Mirren fan.
yeah.
And in the tweets, as you said, he was being criticised.
Yeah.
Absolute opposite now.
And obviously going into International Week, the Croatian national team have tweeted asking to do a repeat at the, you know, when they play. I
Where's
think
it
they're
they're
playing Wales, aren't they?
Oh, brilliant.
There
This
you go.
guy's information is magnificent.
Playing Wales in one of the games.
There's
don't
a
know
reason
that
he knows, and we'll come back to that later on.
But also, Borna Barisic, he's, again, the questions to come back to him on Instagram. This one is from Kieran. He's asking, is Borna Barisic now the new best left-back in the Scottish Premiership, now that Kieran Tierney's left? It's a tough one.
I think there's still a bit to go out.
Yeah, I think it's still early days, but I think sometimes we're quick to judge players when they come to new clubs. It does take them time to settle. You know, we've seen it with Bolingoli at Celtic when in the early parts of the season, people were saying that he wasn't very good, and then he has a couple of good games, and the conception completely changes. But you know, it says a lot that he's on free kick duties. That, you know, he must be doing it in training and all.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen a couple of efforts now that he's already done, but.
And his general play is good as well. He's
Yeah.
defending better as well. Looks fitter.
See, for me, the biggest attribute he's got is when he's bombing forward.
Yeah.
There was periods in the earlier parts of this campaign, he was getting the ball, just checking back all the time. And I'm thinking, you need to drive forward, because the way Rangers play, when they're nice and narrow, they need to get the width of the fullbacks. And he's just starting to be more and more consistent in belief about himself. And I think that's what it is, it's confidence.
And just finally on this game, tough day of course for your boy,
Yeah,
for Hamilton as well.
You know, listen, they're not going to be judged on going to Ibrox and Celtic Parks. You know, it's a harsh learning curve, but it's a learning curve. You know, their bigger battles are against the teams around them.
Of course.
You know,
Of
so
course.
so yeah, tough day at the office, but he's not going to be getting criticised too much. Should have done better for a couple of goals. Though.
I was actually,
Oh, yeah, Dad's back.
I was actually saying to him, it's a perfect environment to learn, because obviously it's a tough environment, but you then reflect. You know, do you get closer to Defoe? When do you drop off? All the ingredients that actually makes you a better player further down the line.
The other big winner, of course. Sorry,
Yeah.
Go on,
Sorry,
on you
you
go.
learned more in 90 minutes playing that game yesterday than what he won in 20
developments,
odd games under 23s.
Great point when we
That's-
talk about
that's
players
the-
going out on loan,
Yeah.
and actually playing football. But other big winners on Saturday, Motherwell again. I mean, they're third, they're 3 points off Celtic at the moment, Alex.
Yeah, I have to say it's been really impressive. I think that's about 4 or 5 wins to bounce. It's a remarkable job, because when you look at Motherwell, the amount of recruitment they have to do annually, 6, 7 players come in, 7 go out. So when you take all that into consideration, you know, they've done a brilliant job.
Well, speaking of which, and recruitment and everything else, we've got Alan Burrows, the chief executive, on the phone right now. Can you hear me, Alan?
I can hear you now, yep. Can't see you, but I can hear you.
I don't know why, it looks as if I'm pointing at the ceiling here. But I promise you I'm here. We can see you. Anyway, I don't know what's going on with that. We've just been talking about your club, another great result at the weekend, flying high in the table. I mean, you must be absolutely delighted.
Yeah, I think 12 years in football mean you don't get too carried away with it, Darrell, you know. You enjoy it when it's going well, because when it's not going so well, it's disappointing and sore to take. So, yeah, I think enjoying it and, looking forward to games, which is always a sign that something's going well.
And the manager, of course, and the recruitment, which Alex Rae just said that word a few minutes ago. I mean, look what's happened, obviously, in the summer, another slight rebuild to the club. I mean, it looks as if you've made the right decisions between you.
Yeah, listen, I think a lot of credit obviously then goes to the manager and Martin Foyle, the head of the recruitment, who do so much work for us. every day of the week. I mean, the guys who you've got in the studio, Alex and Alan, are both the managers. They'll understand how difficult recruitment is, and how time consuming and how big a part of a manager's job that actually is. So between Martin Foyle, Ross Clarkson, the analyst, and Stephen, the manager, they do a huge and tremendous amount of work for the club. And listen, all recruitments, you're never going to get it all right. If you're working on averages of 50-60% right, you're doing very well. So, but for our guys so far, it's been a good haul, good return. But I think it's important to say from our point of view, it's only a start so far, and nobody's getting too carried away. So, but the early signs for us are certainly positive.
And the chief executive obviously doesn't rest either. You're watching it again, aren't you?
They're doing a lot of work, but not certainly in the recruitment firm. I'll leave that to guys who know football and know what they're doing.
But you're across the club though, because you're watching the reserves right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm sitting here at Broadwood. And for all of you who are watching or being at Broadwood, I'm sure it's always a pleasurable, not very cold experience. I'm sitting here perishing in October. So but no, we're playing St Mirren today in a game. We're also playing them Saturday in the Premiership. We're now playing them in the Reserve League. So actually, because it's into an international break, it's quite a strong team for us, quite a first team almost. So it'll be interesting to see how some of them do too.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously you've brought so many youngsters through. I'm sure you're watching a few more. You might not be able to see him, but Alex Rae has got a question for you.
Alan, you're obviously watching the reserves today. We've just touched upon the recruitment. Where does it stand in terms of your youth product line? Because over the last few years, some of the young boys you've brought through, it's obviously very beneficial to you and Stephen and the club in general.
Yeah, I mean, the youth academy under Stephen Hamill's doing brilliant. So you're producing, there'll be 3 players in the under-21s, Barry Maguire, Alan Campbell and James Scott, all of whom played on Saturday. So from our point of view, that's going really well. It's all about having a pathway at the club for players to come through your academy and do well, but and obviously then play in the first team. But I think the key important part to that is they've got to be good enough. Everybody talks about playing young players, and that's a huge part of the club's philosophy and mentality. But first and foremost, they've got to be ready to play. And again, use managers. You and Alan know better than me. It's important to play players, but it's also important to give them the tools in order to wish to play. But thankfully for us, anytime you put in one of our young boys, both in the past or recently, they've never let us down. And as well as the 3 guys, the Scottish under-21 guys I've mentioned, we've got Jamie Semple, Dean Cornelius and others just waiting to come into the first team as well. So, that's a huge part of what we do. MD we recruit has got to be better than the younger boys who are chapping at the door and behind them. And, I think that's the target that's given to all the young boys of that age group is, give the manager a problem, give the manager a headache in terms of your selection. And thankfully for us, from a club's point of view, I've got a lot of young boys doing that.
Yeah, Alex was just frantically gesturing to me to ask about the next generation coming through, the next ones to look out for. But you've just named a few of them. James Scott as well. What a goal he scored at the weekend. So you'll be delighted with him too. Alan Stubbs is here. I think he's got a question for you briefly.
Alan, just to let you know that I was at a game Saturday and your man was there, Martin, watching the game down south. I won't say the team where he was watching, just in case you give any clues away. But how impressed have you been with his recruitment? Obviously, it's been quite impressive from the outside, but from the inside.
Yeah, I mean, Martin's first class, Alan. As hard a worker as I've ever seen in football, and he relies heavily on Ross, our analyst. I think that's becoming a bigger part of football now. That because there's so much access to so much information and data and video from players. Again, you'll have experienced that yourself. It's a huge one. But no, Martin, I can't speak highly of Martin. As a guy, I don't want to speak too highly because the more that we highlight him and how sure he's doing well, the more likely somebody else is going to come in and pinch him. But,
or he'll ask for a rise.
Yeah, absolutely. But he's been doing a phenomenal job. He's such a hard worker, and I think if you've got a guy in a head of recruitment position like him, he's got to love what he does because there's lots of hours on the road, there's games at all times of the day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and that goes for the manager too. The two of them have been in the same position in the same boat for a period of time, so the two of them are committed to it, they work hard at it, so from that point of view, Martin Foyle's invaluable to us, and long may it continue.
Question from Daniel Coe as well here.
Hi Alan, how you doing? I just follow you on social media. I just noticed obviously you congratulating Declan Gallagher on his call up to the Scotland squad. You must be buzzing from a brilliant season so far. Really deserves it.
I'm delighted for Declan, and I think what it's important for your viewers to know is how much it means to Declan as well. I think there's always been an argument in recent years in international football that sometimes players don't maybe treat it as seriously as they do as their own club career, but I can tell you now Declan Gallagher was absolutely over the moon to be called up for it, and anybody who's watched Motherwell this season, and even I have to say his last year's performances at Livingston will probably agree that he's been phenomenal at this level. You know, and I think that's all Steve Clarke can judge on, is how well Declan's doing week in, week out for Motherwell, where a team is so far is doing well, and he's been a huge pivotal part of that. So, you know, not absolutely delighted for Declan. I hope he can make his debut. And as I said, there'll not be a prouder Scotsman in the building than him.
Brilliant. Listen, good man. Thank you very much for allowing us to call you as well today, and may it all continue to go well for you, Al.
Thanks, Dave. Cheers, mate. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, all the best.
What a fantastic job he's also doing. You know, we've obviously gave credit to everyone, but I think when you look at him over the years, the progress through the ranks started more or less at the bottom floor. Now
he did. He loves the club.
Absolutely.
And you can tell. And look, what I mentioned, the James Scott goal, the goals that they scored at the weekend, both good goals. Chris Long off the bench as well. I mean, actually, you know, when they look at the last few results, they'll be kicking themselves because they had the Ross County in a position to beat at home as well. They could be levelling points with Celtic, but 2 goals scored, quality, Alan.
He's, you know what Rob always done? He just seems to have got the balance right, you know, in terms of, and his recruitment has obviously been very good, but he seems to have got it right when to put the young lads in and when not, you know, and that's easy said and done. There's an art to doing that.
Yeah, you've got to be brave as well.
Yeah, you have, you know, because sometimes you throw them in too early and it can ruin them. You know, it really can. But you know, you only have to look at what they've done over the last few years in terms of the talent that they've put on the pitch, then they've sold. You know, that's easy said. That's hard to do. That, to keep generating the players and churning them out, you know, season after season.
If it wasn't for Ladbrokes, it could have been worse at the weekend. Look, a few other games I want to get through as well. You guys billed Aberdeen Hibs' game of the week last week on the show. I wasn't. I'm not sure why, because I haven't watched it.
I think it was part of the, you know, the connotations. You know, Derek McInnes under a bit of pressure. You've got Heckingbottom struggling as well at Hibs. So you're just thinking about the importance of a win or a loss there.
I think you leave, Darrell, and everything goes to pot.
Well, there you go. That's unbelievable. But Curtis Main.
That's not the word you used earlier on.
Hey, steady.
Darrell,
Hey,
don't listen to them.
Stop this wee Willie stuff again. Unbelievable. I don't know where you're going with this. It was Curtis Main, actually, who was hearing it from the Aberdeen fans. Look, some of them still not happy with the way things are going, Alex. And Curtis Main getting sent off and Lewis Ferguson later on in the game. It didn't help the cause, clearly.
He took a lot of stick in social media, just to jump in there. I mean, Pingu, good Twitter name, by the way. Don't think we'll see much of Curtis Main after today. I think that kind of sums up. Wasn't the greatest day.
I don't think it was a red, just to put it on record. I don't think it was a red, no.
Hard done by them.
Well, I think from the referee's position where he was looking, it looked as if he'd lunged. But for me, when you see it from the other angle, it was you know, it wasn't as dangerous as it first looked.
Hibs could have won the game though, Alan, when you look at the chances, and actually the social media reaction for Hibernian is a lot about Christian Deutsch and the strikers overall, who none of them really given a return right now.
Yeah, I've seen that, and you know, they have had some really good chances to put the game to bed, and you know, when you've got a striker who's going through a bit of a tough time in terms of his goals tally, you know, the more and more the chances that he misses, the more and more uptight he's going to become, and it's not going to be, you know. And
the fans saw the money being spent on them, so they expect him just to deliver right away.
That's it. You know, it just keeps mounting. You know, they see a price tag, they see a lack of form, they see a lack of confidence, and it's just a vicious cycle. And you know, I hope he gets the goals sooner rather than later. But you know, there were some glaring misses.
Canberra's kind of seems to be right out the picture. That was a guy that was kind of on fire last year. Do you know what I mean? And then you look at that, and the young Shaw was making a cameo here and there, but between the three of them, they're really struggling.
For the Edinburgh clubs, strikers, the theme at the weekend as well. When we move on to Hearts, Craig Levein having no strikers in his starting lineup. I mean, look, he did play Clare and Machino pretty much as forward players, but I mean, you can tell us first of all, Daniel, there was a lot of tweets about this.
There was a lot of tweets. I kind of Paul Thompson,
Martin Geisler getting involved.
Martin Geisler as well. I've forgotten the striker again, Mr. Levein, obviously infamous from the Czech Republic game and stuff. Craig Levein going back to tried and tested team setup, starting 11, no registered strikers. I know we're laughing, but if you're a Hearts fan, it's no particularly
They didn't
funny.
take it well, I'll tell you, the weekend either. I mean, and it didn't go well, and they changed it in the second half and looked better in the second half, but you felt that the damage was almost done. But on the other side of it, we should say Kilmarnock, another great 3 points for Angelo Alessio. And we're talking about managers needing time, something you've said in this show a lot. 7 clean sheets in the last 8 games, I believe. The only one they didn't keep a clean sheet was at Celtic Park.
Yeah, I have to say he's done a remarkable job, because initially people were saying he's not going to last, he's lost the dressing room. And we were always saying you have to give you guys time, they have to implement their ideas. The fact that he's got a lot of clean sheets as well, you know, which is interesting because Kirk Broadfoot's moved on.
Well,
you know, he was a stalwart. No, I'm just, you're laughing.
It's the way you said that.
But what I'm saying is, and then he's obviously brought his own men in. He's implemented that, got them in, and it makes a big difference.
Obviously, Kate was, you know, I remember actually when I was driving up, talking about that Kirk mentioned about, you know, they weren't fit enough, you know, and doing their own stuff and that. And sometimes you can get wrapped up into, you know, too much thinking about what the players, you know, are all thinking, and they can't be doing an awful lot wrong.
I know it's a real cliche, that Italian defence steeliness, but brilliant stat from Craig Grant on Twitter. Since Hearts last won at Tynecastle, Kelly have won there twice. That's pretty damning if you're a Hearts fan. But brilliant for Kelly.
I once spoke to Carlo Ancelotti.
Oh, here we go,
defending.
boys.
I knew you'd love it through that name. I've done that for you, actually.
Carlo,
I thought you wanted to say Carlo rather than Carlo Ancelotti.
If I just said Carlo, he might not know who I was talking about. I'm Carlo. And I did say to him, you know, what does any Italian manager expect from a team when he takes over? He'd just taken over at Chelsea at the time. And he said, clean sheet.
Yeah.
That's what they want. So it's the stereotype, but, you know, Carlo played into it. One other game just to touch on it.
Carlo. Get him on the phone.
What a manager he was.
Carlo, it's Dazzler here.
I have asked him if he'll come on.
That'll be next week's FaceTime guest.
Well, he might never be on now after what you've just said. One other game to touch on, Ross County St Johnstone. It was obviously a draw.
Yep.
I think the headline from that game, Stevie May getting a goal from open play after he'd missed a penalty. I mean, thank goodness for him from his point of view and for the St Johnstone fans. It's been over a year, was that calendar year?
From, I think it was August 2018 from open play. He obviously scored a couple of penalties in the middle of last season, but it's nowhere near good enough. It seems to, for me, he's in back to a place where he feels comfortable. I hope he goes on a little run now, because he's had such a poor time of it of late, missed the penalty, showed a bit of character and got the goal.
He did. So Rangers are top. I won't show you the table, but I will show you next week's fixtures, because we
It's
don't.
not to me see it.
Show him the table. Show him the table. Give him his moment. There you go.
He's saying it's the background on his phone, so I don't know why he's what he's saying.
You've been looking at it all night.
Damn in a baseball bat. I'll see you in a minute when I get the shin pads on.
Well, it's St Johnstone, who we've just seen, are still bottom on 4 points, and St Mirren on 5 points there, and Hibs on 6 with Hearts as well, and up the top, Rangers 3 points clear, and Motherwell, we've spoken to Alan Burrows, just 3 points further behind. Aberdeen a bit further back, but in 4th as things stand. Let's have a look at the next round of fixtures. It comes after the international break, but some good games to come as well. The Sunday game clearly stands out. Alex, Hearts against Rangers.
Always a difficult place to go. You know, Tynecastle's historically, you know, they have a go there. They're up and at them. The crowd's usually buoyant as well. So I think after you come back for international duty, you know, there's always that hangover. You know, players kind of travelling all over the globe. So I think the important thing for all the clubs really is to, the ones that get the international players, is to try and get 3 points. That's the key thing.
Anyone doing their coupon then? Come on, give us 3 winners there for them. You were good last time out.
I was actually, yeah.
Did you get that?
I give good value.
I think he nailed them. He did.
Good value.
Good value.
Good value you gave everyone.
I'd have to go. Well, I'd have to carry on Motherwell's home form. I would go for Motherwell, which I think there might be decent value.
That's a great shout. Great shout.
I would go Kilmarnock at home, and for fantastic value, I'm going to be in trouble for saying this, but I might have to go Hamilton to beat Hibs.
Well, at home. There you go. And there'll be a lot of Hibs fans falling out with you now.
I know, but I'm talking about value.
Yeah.
I'm only going for value because I think Hamilton will be a good price.
Well, if you're watching the show next week, we will have all the odds, by the way, after the internationals are done and dusted. We'll have all the odds for the following weekend in the Ladbrokes Premiership. Moving on to a few other players who have done well down south this weekend. Wasn't it good to see Graham Shinney getting a game for Derby and excelling?
Yeah,
he's waited and waited.
One of the things that you want to do as a player is, when you go to England, I moved down there as a young boy at 20, you want to get in the team as soon as possible. The fact that it's took him to more or less October, but when you look at these stats, I'm sure he'll be very much in the team come the next weekend, and 91% pass rate is decent, because that's what you want from midfield. You want someone that can retain the ball.
He was the forgotten man for Scotland fans as well. This might sort of get him back in the reckoning, and you know the score. It was Luton they beat.
Yeah, it was
Luton
they beat, and I know that the keeper for Luton had a bit of a howler for one of the goals, but you know, he was getting close to becoming the forgotten man at Derby.
Yeah.
You know, and
he's absolutely. I hadn't played since August in the EFL Cup.
Yeah. You know, and he's come in and he's been very, very impressive, because looking at them stats, you know, they're impressive themselves, and hopefully he can get a good run. You know, because he's certainly, we all know, his quality.
Yeah. I mean, James Ellister on Twitter, a Derby fan, talking about bring back the lost art of tackling. Obviously, Philip Cock himself.
Well, he was under pressure.
Well, yeah, but as a player, I mean, he was a fair player. If anyone to learn off, decent teacher, I'd say.
One man we've not forgotten about is Kieran Tierney, finally getting a game for Arsenal in the Europa League. Now, I wanted to talk about this because obviously he's getting a lot of Twitter love, but he's not in the Scotland squad. So just before we turn our attention to Scotland, would you have had him in? I know he's just back, but would you even have brought him in to see how Steve Clarke works, to get him among the squad for a few days, even if he wasn't training or playing every day?
From a Scotland perspective, you would have him about the place because it would give you an idea of where he is physically.
Because the playoffs are not far away, Alex.
Yeah, no, listen, I take your point totally on board. However, Arsenal will be looking to try and get him more minutes in terms of a game, closed door, but also they'll be looking to try and get him a fitness regime that's going to get him fast track because, as you rightly said there, the Arsenal fans are loving him. They want to try and get him in the team sooner rather than later. So there's two elements to this. Arsenal's being selfish, and I'm going to get the Scotland thing as well because I think the playoffs is going to be the best we can get in March.
I think just the one that stands out there is Darren Arsenal, who's a big sort of Arsenal fan account. He's involved in. He's involved in Arsenal Fan TV.
You lived to regret these kind of comments.
I know. He's obviously saying that they've waited since Ashley Cole for a left back, which is big praise.
That is.
A few people said similar. Actually, Henry Winter, very well-known writer as well, that was his headline. They've waited.
I think he's top draw.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not just saying that obviously because of the connection itself. I've always thought, even when he went down to England, he could become a revelation. You know, and his early part of his appearances up to now, the Arsenal fans are waxing lyrical about him.
And look, Darren's even he's gone Tierney. Bargain. I mean, that could be your new catchphrase. Bargain instead of good value. There's another way to put it.
I think good value will have T-shirts for next season, but bargain maybe the season after. You're right, Dan.
Okay, John Fleck as well in the Scotland squad, doing really well for Sheffield United. Stuart Armstrong's been left out, but a lot of the Sheffield United fans, when you look across Twitter, they're the ones saying, "I can't believe he's not been capped yet, the way he's played for us."
I seen him at Everton about 3 weeks ago, and he was very good. You know, I must admit, and his game has come on an awful lot. You know, over the last couple of years, he's grew in confidence. I think when I first seen him, I thought he was carrying a little bit too much, and I think he's really trimmed himself down now, and he's got himself fit. He's an influential player in that
He
Sheffield
deserves the
United
call.
team. Yeah, he certainly does.
He's really developed. He was a young kid when I was at Rangers as a boy. You know, he was the next big thing. He was a wider player then, and he's actually morphed into a really good central midfielder, creating. He's actually put his foot in as well. He's got his all-round game's improved.
We'll see if he gets any game time for Steve Clarke. Lauren Shankland, I know you guys have been talking about this for last week when I wasn't there. The week before I was there, there was so many calls on Twitter to get him in the Scotland squad. There's a few tweets, but are you having this? Are you happy with this?
Listen, I think it's one of the ones that you're going to have a look at him. You get an idea. He's a guy that's been scoring regular, but it kind of gives us a reality check where we are as a nation. I spoke about Lyndon Dykes earlier on.
Would you have Dykes in ahead of Shankland?
In terms of goals, you'd probably go for Shanks, but in terms of his all-round player, I think Dykes is slightly ahead of him. But it's very early stages for both of these. You know, Shanks has scored a barrel load, 34 goals last year, 15 this year as well. So he's a goal machine, but it's at that level. For me, I think the actual level to go from Championship to internationals, a couple of jumps.
But San Marino home.
Yeah, and I take that point on board. You're going to have to try and win these games and try and get some confidence, because I think in Russia it would be a bridge too far because of the opposition. But again, it goes back to where we are as a nation. I think there's a bigger picture here. I think we need to step back and get a kind of some sort of summit going why we're not producing players at the level we once did.
This is down as a good value bet. I don't know if you've got this in your running order as well, but I'm not sure about I can understand why it's a bet that would return a lot of money. This is a bet for all of the home nations to win away from home in the international round. Have you got the details? I
believe that all of the nations to win away from home is, so obviously Scotland are in Russia, England are in Bulgaria, Northern Ireland are in Rotterdam against
in the
Holland.
Netherlands, yeah.
Who's the last one?
Wales and Slovakia.
Wales and Slovakia. I believe it's more than 600 to 1.
Yeah, well, a £10 stake returns £6,794.67.
He's actually got the slide under ambitious.
I've got it under good value.
It's more deluded.
Right, don't take that bet. Keep your money in your pocket, please. Who gave us that?
I'm going to give you one. Someone's put it on the group chat yesterday. Put Livingston and Wolves, £10 bet, £3,000 to get back. So there is mad bets out there.
That is good value.
That is good value.
Right, and on that topic, shall we move on to fantasy football?
I believe so.
Where do you want to start here? Because anybody that's got...
Let's start with
Where
else should we start? There he is, manager of the week again.
This is getting embarrassing, by the way, for you guys in particular.
Your shelf must be just weighed down with all these trophies you're getting every week.
See, if we actually got a trophy a week,
so what did you get? 108 points with the 4. That's the
did.
difference.
Captain.
That was the difference this week.
He was your captain as well, Alan.
He was, yeah.
Captain.
254
Good job he
points
was,
overall.
actually.
which I have to tell you, by the way, you know it's £10,000 to win it.
Did you hear that there?
What's
It's just as well it was in.
My score was rubbish this week.
Well, I think we've got your team actually.
Yeah.
I'm up to 55th.
In the overall.
Yeah.
By the way, how did
30 odd
you...
thousand.
Was you less than that a few weeks ago?
No, I think it was about 90s and 70s.
I'm at,
nearly the top
I
50.
think I'm up to about the 500
There's
mark.
mine,
Good.
Because considering I was about 3,500
You
for
were,
day one.
We need to have a little conference with us
So
again.
Jack
Alan.
never played, Aribo never played.
Where's there's a centre half missing here? Who am I going to point out?
I know, I've stopped putting them in. I don't want to put
No
any pressure on
loyalty.
them.
Just as well
No.
you didn't, because they lost 5
know,
at Ibrox.
exactly,
I
so-
wanted to ask you about your bench, right? No, it's a slim,
Where is it?
thin-looking bench. You've got Marius Ogumpo,
Yeah.
Hamilton striker on your bench.
I
Is
thought
that
he'd
just
be
when
on
you
the
run
bench.
out of money,
I
or
just thought he'd be on the bench, and I just thought,
Never know.
he was your super sub?
I need a bit of work doing that, don't I?
Yeah.
Christie, of course, he's cost us all this week, obviously, with that
yeah.
red card. We've all minus points, but at least you had Defoe, but you didn't have him as captain.
I thought I did.
I don't think you did.
No, I mustn't have, obviously, if I've only got 54.
I don't think you did.
Tavernier as captain.
Tavernier as captain, I did,
Which
yeah.
is also, in fairness,
Yeah.
68 points returned on him.
I need to start taking this team more serious, don't I?
I think you
By
do.
the looks of it.
Four Rangers players and
Oh,
378.
well,
No,
well,
you
I'm
say-
sorry,
you
Alan,
say that to me
sorry.
all the time, I know.
I'm sorry.
A wee word of advice, Al.
It was made on Tuesday, that team, actually,
Big-
as you can tell.
Big XP you. You need to review it.
Yeah, I know.
Alex did say at the start, don't have him in your team, which is harsh. Hearts fans aren't agreeing, but he's obviously not scored many goals. Clearly the player of the week.
One man that has
Yeah.
scored a lot of goals, Jermaine Defoe. Speaks for itself. 54 points, which is a shed load for fantasy football, which is a lot. And obviously you'll know,
That was
Darrell.
well negotiated. A shed load.
I did wonder where am I going with this, but I got there in the end.
After your language last week, anything goes. Anything
right?
goes. Well,
Just fire it out there. Drop it up, top and buzz.
right, top performing players, please.
Top performing players, so obviously Defoe was the best overall, but Goldson the defender.
Another goal, clean sheet.
42 points. Chris Burke, midfielder, got a goal obviously at the weekend as well. And Defoe, I think obviously you look at Chris Burke, 12.5 million.
He's been a
Go on,
brilliant
say
player
it.
over the years.
Say it.
Good value, that's
Yeah,
it, David.
brilliant player over the years. He was a young kid at Rangers when I was there, but his longevity, good level.
Seems to still have a big influence on the team as well. And your bargain of the week,
Bargain of the week.
compared to the price tag.
So it just rolls off the tongue. Nico Hamalainen.
Hammerline.
There you go.
So he was
Left back at
8.6 million at the start of the week. He's up to 10 million now, but he would have got you 30 points for your 8.6 million.
30 points not to shake a stick at. It's pretty decent. And obviously another clean sheet for Kelly. We've talked about them. So
7 in the last 8 games. Get a Kelly defender in your team.
safe bet. Team of the week overall.
I did.
Killing me here.
Damn real Brexit. What a name.
Catchy name, but 339 points is.
That's remarkable.
Look at the benches.
know.
I mean, like Chris Long is super sub. How would you predict that?
That's it, he's got Ogbo on the bench.
And guess what, Alex? He also get no points for
Same
him.
points as me.
But I tell you what, Waters on that is you actually had Gillespie in your team and 34 points for your goalkeeper. That's incredible. Team.
Defoe is the captain again. That's what swung
Even
it a lot this week.
Spittle in there, you know,
The
returning
Defoe
points.
one's
in the field.
it's a game changer for me.
It is.
And Defoe's big.
Nah, it's big enough.
The overall leader.
Overall leader, still the reigning leader,
Yeah,
leading the
well.
way for the 10 grand lead. Diego. Who is he?
2,000 odd points.
That's it.
But you've noticed, I mean, he's crafty. Diego, you have to be leading this, but he changes every week.
Last week it was a 3 at the back, a 3-5-2 I think, and this week 4-3-3. I feel like I should come clean here actually. I am Diego. I wish. I wish.
You wish, mate, you wish. Diego, if he wins the 10 grand, might be off on a stag do of sorts or a big weekend anyway. But you noticed up in Inverness this weekend, I don't know if you'll possibly find this tweet because it's probably miles back on your list here. But, and I put you on the spot there, but basically, what was it? Was it?
So there was a man dressed in a 6-foot Pikachu outfit and on a stag do, and it just got me thinking. It made me think to you guys, what is any stag do stories? Alec, you
You
must
must
have
have one, Al. Have you got one?
Not stag do stories, but I remember we went away pre-season with Everton, and Wayne Rooney was only a young lad then,
Oh, Rooney.
and he was I think I have to say he was 18. So we went out for a drink. So the manager's David Moyes gone to me. He said, "Alan, listen," he said, "your captain said look after Wayne, make sure he doesn't get in any trouble whatsoever." I said, "Yeah, no problem, I will do." I said, "I'll watch what he's drinking and everything." So we've gone to the bar and we're getting drinks, and I've gone to Wayne, "Listen, you can't have one just yet, just wait." And he's gone, "I said, but Stubbs, I'm all right." I said, "Okay, you can have one." So he has one. Then I ordered again, I've had one. I go, "Wait, no, I'll have yours." So anyway, cut a long story short, I was supposed to be looking after Wayne. Wayne carried me home. Put me in a
How does
taxi.
he carry you?
Put put me in a taxi. Send me back to the hotel.
You want us to do one?
Please.
My best pal, Phil McQuillan, was getting married, and we were going up to Aviemore. Of all places, you go to Aviemore. There's nothing there. So we decided to meet in Denison, where we're all from, the East End of Glasgow, and we were going to the Barras for a few refreshments just to get us going. And as we're driving along Duke Street, we sees one of the boys with a newspaper under his arm and a loaf of bread. His missus has sent him out so they could get the breakfast up and running right. We hijacked him and took him up to Aviemore. He came home 2 days later. His missus said, I'm starving.
Oh my word.
That was it.
At least he got home.
Yeah, well, we managed to get the boy home after a couple of days.
Very good. Anyway, there's the picture.
I've had a nightmare with this iPad this week, but there is your man in the Pikachu outfit. There he
Good
is.
stuff. Good stuff. Look, we are pretty much out of time again. We've got a 1-2 free bet.
1, 2,
this
3
week
bet
again.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is obviously, we've mentioned internationals. Scotland, San Marino, Wales, Croatia, Bulgaria, England. 3 games. 1 correct score, £1 free bet. 2, a £5 free bet. All 3, £100 cash prize.
Give us the 3 winners then. Come on.
Scotland, Croatia.
What's the score?
Scotland. Oh, so you want a score draw?
Yeah, you need to get the scores.
Scotland 2-0, Croatia 2-1, and England's got to beat Bulgaria, are we? 2-1, 3-1. Fair enough.
Okay, in agreement there. Get in touch.
Absolutely.
Hashtag Ladbrokes Social Club again.
Hashtag Ladbrokes Social Club. We're also, if you want to talk about fantasy football, at LadsPFF on Instagram and Twitter as well. But get involved, get in touch.
Brilliant stuff. Anyway, I hope you're not driving because there's champagne in the green room for you with this cake.
Oh, lovely.
No, there's not. I'm kidding, mate. There's not. The budget doesn't go that
I'm
far.
staying over then.
Get Wayne up. Guys, thank you very much. I enjoyed that. We'll see you again next week for an international special. See you Monday next week.